In this video, I'm going to be talking about NFL betting mistakes that a lot of people make. Don't get me wrong, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. I've told a cop I didn't like how he was talking to me once. It's a long story. But anyways, if you're going to be betting on the NFL, there's a lot of things that you might be doing wrong, and I want to show you exactly some mistakes that a lot of newer, even experienced sports bettors will make on NFL games. Does anyone remember the 2007 Patriots? They were 19-0 going into the Super Bowl and lost. That was a mistake. Let's do this shit. Okay, so the first things first, you got to start managing your bankroll correctly when you're betting on NFL games. Now, don't tune me out like I do when Tom Brady's dorky ass shows up on those commercials. I mean, seriously, why does he dress like such a dork? But anyways, you got to start betting in units when you're betting on the NFL. What a unit is just a consistent amount that you're going to be betting on every single wager you place. Now, if you have a $1,000 bankroll, you want to bet 1 to 3% of your bets on each play or unit, and never bet more than 15% of your entire bankroll in a single day. This protects you for when you go through hot and cold streaks. No matter how good you think you are at sports betting, you're going to go cold and you're going to have hot streaks too. Seriously, one big mistake that a lot of sports bettors make on the NFL is they'll have like a $1,000 bankroll and then they'll bet like $100 on every game. And I know I've mentioned many times how important bankroll management is when you're placing bets on sports, but this is one of the key reasons why so many sports bettors for the NFL season will go bankrupt by the time it's October. If you want more information on managing your bankroll, I've done a complete video on that, so make sure you check that out. But seriously, we had to watch Tom Brady for 23 seasons. Now we got to listen to him on commercials. That shit's just not right. Okay, so this next mistake is a really big one. And what it is it's chasing your losses. Let's say you're betting on the Kansas City Chiefs and they're expected to win by 10 points and they don't do it, right? Well, the next game you would double up on them, like, okay, so I bet $30 on them last week. Now I'm going to bet $60 so I can make my money back. That's an absolutely horrible strategy when you're betting on the NFL. What happens a lot of times is when people chase their losses, they'll dig themselves a huge hole. Good teams, real good teams like the Kansas City Chiefs, they'll go on winning streaks, but they'll also go on losing streaks. Or for instance, when you're talking about sports betting, the team won't cover the spread for 2 or 3 games. So just keep that in mind. I know losing sucks, but you got to keep in mind that a professional bettor, they're going to win 52% of the time. That's the magic number that you want to win. When you chase your losses, you really start to dig yourself a big hole, and it's a rookie mistake. Also, this is a very important one. If you are making a bet and say you have the Colts to beat the Texans by 2.5 points and they're getting destroyed, don't take the halftime line and like, oh, I'm going to make my money back and bet on the other team. So many sports bettors do this. Another big one that a lot of sports bettors will make when they're betting on the NFL is they'll bet on their favorite team. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with betting on your favorite team. For instance, I'm a Colts fan, but I don't bet with the Colts a lot because I know that it's really not smart, and basically I'm betting on them based on being a fan and not somebody that's making like an accurate bet based on real statistics. Now, I know what you're saying, like, hey, I want to bet on my favorite team because it's funner that way, and I do get that, but make sure you're studying your team really good and you know everything about their tendencies and everything like that, and make bets based on research and not just like basically as a fan. And as a bonus tip, I do recommend studying one team or one division if you're newer to sports betting, which I've mentioned in my NFL tips video. But this is a video on mistakes. And speaking of mistakes, Ryan Leaf was a big mistake for the San Diego Chargers. I mean, he had one game where he had 15 passing attempts, passed for a whopping 4 yards, threw 2 interceptions, fumbled 3 times, and I'm pretty sure Junior Seau stole his donuts in the locker room. When placing your bets on the NFL, avoid doing parlays. You actually have a 3.94% chance of winning a 5-game parlay, which basically means it's likely not going to happen. Oftentimes what happens with parlays is you might have 5 games you're interested in and 4 of them will hit and then 1 of them won't. It'd be a better idea to take 5 different wagers and place those independently, and if you win 4 out of 5 of them, great, because you're going to profit money. However, when you place one of these parlays, you put all these games together and just one of them misses, you lose the entire bet. Now, I've done a whole complete video on sports betting parlays, which I don't recommend. Make sure you check that out if you haven't already. Sportsbooks actually make a ton of money from advertising that, their customers need to place parlays and showing big wins from past customers that won a crazy amount of money. But honestly, just as a sports betting tip, a parlay is just not a good idea. Okay, never buy points when you're betting on the NFL. Buying points are about as smart as buying Lawrence Taylor's jockstrap on eBay. Now, primarily what I'm talking about is basically if you're taking teams with spreads and you're taking the Patriots and the Dolphins, right? And the Dolphins are favored by 2 points and you might buy a point. It's not a smart idea, and most of the time you're just decreasing your payout in the long run. Basically, you're making the odds even worse on your end. And almost every time it doesn't even result in anything other than you're not getting paid as much money. Now, you might see these alternate lines for the overs and unders for football games too, right? I don't go with those. A smarter approach would be to get the if there's something you're interested in, like a game that you're interested in, get in on it earlier. You're really losing a lot of money by betting on alternate lines or buying a point. So just try to stay clear of buying points, and also stay clear of women that bitch too much. That's just not worth it. Can I get an amen, please? Another mistake that a lot of people make when they're betting on the NFL is they try to bet on way too many things. Meaning they bet on every and any game in the NFL on Sunday. I mean, literally, they'll bet on every game. This goes back to managing your bankroll and everything. You don't want to bet more than 15% of your bankroll in a single day. And this pretty much you put your whole bankroll on one Sunday in hopes that you'll make a lot of money. So a smarter approach would be to pick like 4 or 5 games or player props and just go with those on the Sunday. You don't have to bet on something on the NFL just because there's a game on. And if you do, you might actually kind of have a gambling problem. So really just try to limit your bets to, 5 or so games on a Sunday. Volume betting in the NFL is not a good idea. It might be a good idea in baseball, but not in the NFL. Okay, injuries are another mistake that a lot of NFL sports bettors will make. Now, no sports bettors ever made it rich by playing off injuries. So if you think that you can just play on, Travis Kelce's injured and the sports books don't factor that into the spread and everything, you might want to rethink your strategy. So it's really important that throughout the week you check on the injury report. For example, in this Travis Kelce, his recent knee injury, right? For a long time, people didn't know, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? If you were making a player prop and basically you picked him to get over 65 yards or something, and he played a couple downs and didn't play at all, then you would have lost your money. So even though a player might not be technically ruled out, he could be nursing an injury like during practice and everything during the regular week. So it's really important that you do check out injuries. And while we're on the topic of injuries, like let's say a star player gets hurt, here's what a lot of sports bettors do. They say Travis Kelce's injured, they're going to bet against him because they're going to bet like on the Lions like in week 1 because obviously their star player is out and they think that, they're not going to win, they're not going to cover the spread. What this does is it really takes the value out of the bets, or shall I say the value out of the spread for the Chiefs. So one strategy that I've used over the years is I'll play against if they're betting against the Chiefs, I would bet for the Chiefs with the spread because I have more value with that bet. And speaking of injuries, one more time, if you're interested in player props and let's say that a player has been injured all week, you might take the under for the yardage that he's going to get for the next game. It's always great when you place an under on a player and he gets injured like in the first 4 plays of the game. Not saying I had Aaron Rodgers for the under or anything in the first game, but sometimes people get injured. Okay, so one mistake that a lot of people make is they bet on player props, but they bet on these odd ones, like something really weird. For instance, what I'm talking about is, the first touchdown of the game is going to be Travis Kelce. Yeah, it might pay like plus 900, but probability of that happening is pretty much slim to none. Or maybe Justin Bieber's going to sing the national anthem, but he's going to sing it horribly wrong. I think he's Canadian. Can he sing the national anthem? Come on, who here has Beaver fever? Or another example is, playing the live props, right? They can say the next play is going to be like a pass play or something, or the first play is going to be over 10-yard catch. These are just like novelty, stupid ass bets that you really don't have a lot of statistics on, and they're just a waste of money. I don't know, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think some of the little novelty bets are. It's stuff that's just retarded to bet on. And don't tell me Joe Montana's a quarterback. I know that. I said cornerback, you idiot. Another mistake that I see a lot of NFL bettors making is they're not checking the weather. Now, I know what you're thinking. Not everybody that checks on the weather every day is a 45-year-old man that lives in his mother's basement. basement. But checking the weather can really impact the game. For instance, when it's really windy or it's raining or there's a lot of snow, teams have a harder time moving the ball down the field, which in turn makes lower scoring games. So this can affect the over and under. Or if you're looking at player props, you could take a running back that's going to get more carries per game. So I'm not saying you guys spend a whole lot of time checking the weather, but just quickly glance at the weather and make sure that, there's not a freaking blizzard going on or a torrential downpour or 103-mile-per-hour winds or a bunch of birds aren't going to go over the stadium and take a dump on everybody. Oh wait, sorry, I got a little sidetracked. That doesn't have to do anything with the weather. But anyways, I'm going to do a whole video on the weather and betting on the NFL, so make sure you check that out. Okay, well that's the end of this video. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if there's any mistakes that I didn't cover in this video. And don't tell me the Bears are going to win the Super Bowl. Go ahead and like this video if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want more sports betting advice. There's always a crap load of links in the description. And I'm out! I'm going to go egg my neighbors!